tips and strategies to help you. But today, what I wanted to talk about is how to motivate our kids to take responsibility. So I thought this would be a great topic for a few reasons. First of all, a few of you actually, when you signed up, told me that this was one of your concerns that you wanted help addressing. Also, I had a call with a client this week who brought up the same issue. And I was also thinking, it's Friday. And if you're like me, I remember on Fridays thinking, I want my kid to enjoy their weekend and I want them to use this time wisely to stay on top of their work. But if your kids are like mine and my clients' kids, it's really hard to motivate them right now, especially one, because they just came off a relaxing holiday and it's hard to get back in the mode of getting your homework done. And two, I think that it's just, they think they have this whole long runway. It's just the beginning of the semester and they have all this time to do well. So, what my client brought to me was, I think what she was concerned about, she didn't want like a repeat of the past where her child wasn't doing, any homework or staying on top of things in the beginning of the semester. And so what ended up happening in the middle and the end are these fire drills. And her son, I think he's in ninth grade, was trying to like dig himself out of a hole because of all the time he spent earlier in the semester procrastinating and not getting his work done and not learning the concepts he needed to learn. So she's trying to help, she wanted like some guidance on how do I help motivate him to study now from the beginning so we don't run into those problems at the end of the semester. Um, how do I help him feel like it's important and something that he wants to do? So, um, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, if you're like her, right, her gut instinct was she kept looking over and he's like video gaming an inordinate amount of time. And so she's like, I think I'm going to restrict his video gaming time or, maybe take his phone away or shut the Wi-Fi off in the house. All these things that I think are just so common for us to turn to for solutions. We think that's going to fix the problem. But here is the main key concept for today. Humans are motivated, any human, you, me, and our children, by what's in it for them. Right? There was this acronym I learned in coach training called WIFM. What's in it for me? I don't know. It always makes me giggle whenever I think of that acronym. So if that helps you, you can use it too. But the idea behind it is when we want to motivate to do something, we're always motivated when we think about how it's going to make us feel. So, what I encouraged her to do is have a conversation with her son about that. So, how exactly does that work, Janine, right? So what you want to do is you want to start a conversation with your child with like, hey, I was thinking about last semester and it seemed like halfway through you felt really overwhelmed, you had a lot of anxiety, there was a lot of pressure going on and you didn't like feeling that way. Um, and so I was just thinking about that and wondering, like, is that, how do you feel about that? Did you feel the same way? Because that's what I observed. Ideally, we get them talking about how they were feeling, because I'm sure, like your children, her son was feeling anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, pressure. And that's exhausting, right? So have a conversation around that. Help them build the awareness and make the connection that, gosh, when I don't get my homework done ahead of time or at least keep up with things, I really create a problem for myself down the road that feels awful. And so as you're having this conversation and they start connecting to, yeah, I was really anxious and that sucked and I don't want to feel that way again. that opens the door for you to say and ask a question like, well, what might you do differently this semester so you avoid feeling that way? Because it sucks to feel anxious and stressed and overwhelmed and scared, right? I don't like feeling that way. Nobody likes feeling that way. So what might you do differently? Notice this is a very different approach than trying to control their video game usage or their phone usage, right? That might work in the short run and it might feel good to like take away something like, yes, I'm being effective. I'm, making my kids study. But usually for most of us, that doesn't feel good in the long run. Plus, we're not helping our kids build the time management skills that I think we all want them to have, where they learn to look at their responsibilities and plan ahead for them. And remember that that motivation comes from them connecting to how does it make me feel when I procrastinate and don't do my homework, right? Overwhelmed, pressure, anxious, stressed, versus how do I feel when I stay on top of my schoolwork and take responsibility to get my homework done and study for tests, right? Then I feel prepared, I feel calm. And when I feel that way, I do better in school. And then that ends up feeling better too. So, what we're trying to do here, if we zoom out in the big picture of things, right, is we all want to build our kids' confidence. And building confidence comes from trusting themselves. So, we want to help them help themselves build good study habits and take responsibility versus us trying to make them do it. So that's what I have for you today. I think someone was on live, but they hopped off. But if you're watching a replay of this, if you have any questions about it, or you want me to cover a topic in next week's Facebook Live, put it down in the comments and let's get a conversation going. And again, just know whatever is on your mind, whatever you're struggling with, you're not alone. Just like my client who was trying to get their child to take responsibility for their schoolwork. I know a lot of you, when you signed up for the group, asked for the same thing and said that you were having the same challenge. So just remember, whatever it is, you're not alone. And remember, you're a good parent. You're here, you join this group. And so tell yourself, yeah, I have an intention here of being the best parent I can be, and that's enough. All right. Have a wonderful weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Sending you all so much love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.